Hello and welcome back to Aspen Talks Health. I am Dr. Nicola, and today I'm joined by a very interesting gentleman. His name is Andrew Scott. He is the Executive Director of Open Mind Project and has a master's in Divinity. Welcome to my show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Open Mind Project is really interesting. Can you tell us about it, please?
Yeah, the Open Mind Project is an interdisciplinary initiative, sort of a diplomatic mission to try to bring people from all different backgrounds together to learn how to be more compassionate and loving toward their fellow people in society.
I love that. How valuable. That must have been such a fulfilling journey for you to create.
It's been a bizarre journey, that's for sure. I would say we're all products of our conditioning. So the Open Mind Project is kind of just a metaphysical person like my mother would call it, like channeled. But I'm not a metaphysical person, but it's basically just my lifetime with a whole lot of different perspectives and a very, very, very varied educational background, all sort of
coming through.
Yeah.
Love it. What was your purpose? What's
in starting the Open Mind Project?
Yeah, how did it come about?
I was very influenced by Native American studies, women's studies, sort of getting in touch with my privileged white heterosexual maleness as an undergrad. And I think I was inspired to see things from the perspective of the other. Mm. And I think my childhood also ties into that. But I really feel like the best, highest purpose that I can carry into the world is to facilitate these conversations that are often difficult and uncomfortable. I was sort of the born diplomat in my family. I was raised by grandparents and mother who really didn't get along and didn't see the world in any way the same ways, and I didn't really have a father figure, so I just kind of always had to wear a lot of different hats.
Interesting.
And see the world through different people's eyes.
You were molded into the position.
Yeah, exactly.
Fascinating, huh? Wow. So it's an online platform where you have videos from different religions across the world, and the goal is to really share the viewpoints in hopes of widening people's perspective, right? And becoming more accepting of each other?
Yeah, the idea is really to promote critical thinking for people of all backgrounds. So we're acknowledging that we all have a story, we all have a belief system based on who raised us, who are our teachers, what did we watch on television, and what did we hear. So we start with that acknowledgement that we all have a lens, even if I look at atheism as a great example of a belief system that most people don't think of as a belief system, right?
Because it's not believing.
Right, but it's like, to not believe in a metaphysical deity actually does take energy. Because it's like you're saying, I don't believe such and such.
Right.
But even if I believed there was nothing, it would be the result of this whole long lineage of whatever it takes to make someone not believe. And I'm going to help try to get the person that believes or doesn't believe or isn't sure to be able to look at somebody else and say, I can learn about their background and their history. And even if I don't see the world like them, I can understand why they see the world the way they do. Yeah. And that, I think, is the beginning of diplomacy and getting people to the same page to solve sort of the big issues. Because if we're blinded by, I disagree with you on this and this and this, we can never really find that common ground to begin the healing.
Right. It's so true. So I was raised by an Israeli mother, and so I witnessed the conflict between the Israel and Arabic nations, and unfortunately, it's ingrained from childhood. In the school system, they're taught to really hate each other. And so how do you pass that? How can you break that barrier? Because if you really you're to some degree brainwashed to think the opposite side is the opposite and not part of humanity, literally. And how do you bridge that gap? How do you Okay, let's put it this way. Let's put an Israeli and an Arabic person together in a room. How do you get them talking?
Well,
or accepting, I should say.
We can begin. I mean, let's just, if we're using your mother as the
Yeah.
example. So maybe the Arab counterpart to your mother is your mother grandmother or just?
No.
Okay, not yet. So, she's maybe the Arab also has a daughter.
Okay.
And we can begin by just talking about who are you, where do you come from? I mean, in the case of Israel and Palestine, it's like they're pointing at each other.
Right.
And they're pointing to very close proximity. You have two people that really identify with this ground, this earth, for their identity. And so you could actually start with the thing that they see the world most differently is also the thing they see the world most similarly.
That's so true.
Paradoxically. So we could begin just by cultivating their love and appreciation for the place that they live.
Right.
So start with the place. Where am I? How can I appreciate, let's say they both have a daughter and maybe they find there's commonalities between their kids. And then we can actually go to the religions themselves. We could begin to try to find common ground between Islam and Judaism that might not be common ground with Christianity. So that if we are teaching these two people about the history of their faith system, if they were in the Open Mind Project website, for example, and searching the history of Judaism or Islam, they would find that in Islam, all people of the book are protected. That is, Jews, Christians. They both have a very similar messianic belief system. So where Christians think that the Messiah came thousands of years ago, in Islam and Judaism, the Messiah is a being that hasn't come yet. They both have this expectation of this figure. So, again, finding common ground and really trying to cultivate love and compassion for each other as humans.
Right.
Because, so the human stuff I think is really important. And that's a goal of the Open Mind Project, is to have this film team that's going out into the world and collecting narratives from people of all backgrounds so that we're really just listening to each other tell our stories. And that's when I find this is a human being who has pain and anguish and sorrow, and difficulties, and pretty much even, in America, we're constantly bombarded with that propaganda of there's always this other that we're supposed to, construct ourselves in opposition to, and it's almost in a different sort of reality construct where everything is connected to everything else, or like the quantum unified field theory perspective.
Right.
All of those divisions are actually harming ourselves. If I see you as being different from me, I'm actually disconnecting from my own self and being.
Interesting.
And would theoretically maybe experience suffering
Yeah.
as a result. So if I can make you feel like, wow, if I love this person more, I'll feel better about myself, then maybe the temptation is there.
I think you're hitting it right on the head. As soon as you start to have dialogue, you realize there's so much more commonalities than differences. And it's a great place to start. Just what do we have in common? And you can always come back to family and desire to live life with purpose and love and affection. And I think the two nations are actually quite similar in many ways. The food is very similar.
Right.
If you walk into an Israeli's house, you're going to get fed. And that's very similar. I'm sure the same way as an Arabic home. And there are many Arabic nations that live in Israel that serve in the army, that pay taxes, and they're 100% included, to my knowledge. I haven't lived there in ages, but so very interesting.
I've never been to the Holy Land. I would love to, but that's a really good point that you just made, because it is in both of those traditions welcoming of the stranger is
Oh,
huge.
absolutely. Door's always open.
I'm a Greek, so with a half Greek anyways. So
similar.
That's very big on the Greek.
Yep.
Yep. All Abrahamic.
Yeah, it's funny. The Mediterranean is Italy as well, Greek. You're going to get fed. There's something about being fed in those nations. I don't know why. What are some of the current events affecting our well-being?
The 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
Well, the current events on a meta scale, I think we're just as crazy as we seem to be. And it's probably growing exponentially as a result of just how simultaneously in touch and out of touch we are, right? Everyone's on the device, which is, we're told a story about how it's bringing us closer, but it's really paradoxically driving us farther from each other because we're not communicating in these face-to-face interactions. So even though the Open Mind Project is mostly online now, the hope is to really create human interactions and facilitate conversations in communities.
Nice.
And so it's a remedy. I mean, the idea is to how do we proactively build bridges between people when sort of the mass media machine at present seems to be just constantly dividing.
Yeah.
Maybe it makes us better consumers, but it's not necessarily making us better people or more well-adjusted members of democracy. I think that's what I'm looking at on a global scale right now, is just how dangerous a position we're all in as modern civilization because of how we're behaving in terms of the environment.
Yeah.
Really trashing the biosphere. And we depend on the biosphere for life. And I think a lot of these religious stories are no longer appropriate. It's like at some point in the past, maybe they really helped. They helped us, but the stories are no longer serving the purpose that they're supposed to serve. Because, we're the two largest religions on the planet are Christianity and Islam, and they both share a very common sort of end times narrative, right? Like, the end is coming. There's this external power that's in control, and he's going to judge us, and he's coming down. And if that's the truth, then why wouldn't we exploit every resource and sell it at the highest price possible and trash the oceans? And I mean, because it's like, well, this isn't the real world. Like, the real world is somewhere out there. That's heaven, and that's where I'll really live. And so I think that's the social psychology and narrative psychology aspect, so that if we can understand that actually our behavior is not that crazy, our behavior actually makes sense in light of these really powerful narratives and stories that have been used to, they serve a geopolitical purpose, but it's maybe we're now facing this moment in time where the economics and the geopolitics of even the people in charge is trumped, so to speak, by how important it is that we upgrade our sort of operating system so that we can, have a livable planet that we want to be born into as humans.
Fascinating perspective. What's the solution there?
Better stories, happier. That's my hypothesis anyways, is that if we want to change human behavior on a meta scale, we should probably really study psychology, sociology, human behavior, societal dynamics, so that we can estimate, hey, if this story is told around the world and you get this behavior, which is nuclear weapons and environmental degradation and total non-sustainability, maybe if we tell a story about this is the planet we come from, which is really the scientific narrative on some level. Like
Yeah.
our DNA, we're related to everything else on planet Earth, all nature. I mean, even on a molecular
Right.
on a molecular level or quantum physical level, like we're the same exact molecules that made up Cleopatra and King Henry or whatever.
Right.
And we're breathing the same air, we're drinking the same water. And this is, as far as we know scientifically, this is the only place that we have. I mean, we're on a planet orbiting a star. So I think if we focus on that and sort of say, okay, I'm a DNA replicating machine as a human being,
Sexy.
and I'm basically going to constantly be here on a DNA level. I won't be Andrew, and you might be not Dr. Nicola, but we're in this. This is where human consciousness exists. So then it would become much more important that we preserve that biosphere, because there is nowhere else to go. So when I look at like the space exploration obsession, it seems like it's like they're desperately trying to replicate a false narrative, right? Like we ran out of land to colonize, so now we're going to go colonize the moon. But it's like that's never going to be home.
Fascinating.
I mean, as far as I know. Doesn't seem sensible.
It doesn't seem very inviting. But
not to me. Yeah, I'd rather not.
Missing some trees, no.
Yeah. So stay here campaign.
Got it. What is some of the institutional work that you see needs to be done?
Well, I would love to be more proactive getting this campaign of filmmakers, getting a team of filmmakers into the world, going into religious communities and just inviting people to tell their story, and then trying to raise money and interest to get teams of educators out into the world just to teach a lot of people who have never been exposed to, just a minimum of critical thinking skills. So there's a lot of humans out there who we think of as being ignorant, but they're not. They're just repeating what they've been taught to believe.
Right.
And until we give them an alternative perspective, I can't really blame them. So I think it's really important that we do work to educate isolated populations. And these isolated populations are often the ones producing the terrorists or the school shooters, people that don't have the mental health tools to even understand how uncomfortable they are.
Wow. That's an uphill challenge. Wow. That's a big one. That'll take a lot of men on the ground.
And women. And therapists. Doctors. Well, hopefully on a political level, we'll create a governing body that is working hard to create more mental health practitioners in our society.
Right. Yeah. Good. What can we do in the community?
We can be kind to each other and nice and positive and try to... Well, there's a Buddhist teaching. I was really lucky to get to study like a bunch of different religions from a bunch of different religious teachers, ministers, monks, atheists. So there's a really interesting Buddhist exercise that sort of is like you look at everyone as being your mother.
Okay.
Like all, whatever being you're interacting with is your mother. And so you try to cultivate this love and respect,
That's so sweet.
for all beings. So I think right now, it really is that simple because there is so much hatred being spouted.
Yeah. Yeah. I think more needs to be done in the schools. More kindness training in the schools,
Yes.
right? There should be a kindness program. And
Yes.
all this bullying is really detrimental to human psyche.
Yeah.
And it's unkind, and it's terrible.
And the violent video games.
That's a huge one. And they're massive. I was going to have a show on that, actually, because that's become a very big issue. They're designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
and unkind. Why would it's terrible. Very interesting. So, what can people do in their own communities other than just showing up kinder? Does your platform offer any kind of support for people to see how they can implement some projects?
This is work that we need to be doing. I need to be doing as Open Mind Project. I'm at the level of trying to get more institutional support and then hire on a staff. But absolutely, there isn't yet, but there should be in the website ways for people to connect in their own communities. So I think the idea is almost like we need a support group for open-minded people and for everyone, just where anyone can go and share about their own narrative.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone is a churchgoer, they can go to church on Sunday, but maybe they can go to the Open Mind meeting on Wednesday and talk about, boy, my pastor said something that really didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And they might not feel safe sharing that with their pastor in that community. But I think we all need like that safe, therapeutic, human talk therapy. Or support group. Yeah, just support group for everybody.
A forum or something.
We show up and admit that we're members of a society that's not functioning properly. Therefore, I have a problem, and I can get better just by, admitting there's a problem is the first step. I like that.
Right. And then you're collaborating and you're finding solutions together. That also creates the open dialogue.
Right. Yeah, admitting it's like I don't have the answer here.
Right.
I'm just one of us showing up.
Nice. All right. Would you like to? We have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
So, will you offered on the phone to share with us a loving kindness meditation?
Yes.
Are you willing to do that now?
Yes, I would love to. So we'll just
good.
teach you the loving kindness meditation, also known as the metta. So metta is the Sanskrit, also Pali word for loving kindness, so it's really like it's a meditation to cultivate compassion.
Okay.
For self and others. So you can just repeat after me. We start with, may I be happy.
May I be happy.
May I be well.
May I be well.
May I be free from suffering.
May I be free from suffering.
May I be peaceful and at ease.
May I be peaceful and at ease.
And then we would go the next to someone that we care about, someone close to us. May my mother be happy.
May my mother be happy.
May she be well.
May she be well.
May she be free from suffering.
May she be free from suffering.
May she be peaceful and at ease.
And may she be peaceful and at ease.
And then we would do someone that we just feel neutral towards, like the guy that I just met at the grocery counter. So-and-so, we don't even know his name. May that being be happy and well.
May he be happy and well.
Free from suffering.
Free from suffering.
Peaceful and at ease.
Peaceful and at ease.
And then we do someone that we feel maybe animosity towards, or someone we have negative feelings for.
Founder of McDonald's.
Founder. What was his name? There was a movie made about him by Michael Keaton. But anyways, may he be happy and well.
Okay. All right. May he be happy and well.
Free from suffering.
Free from suffering.
Peaceful and at ease.
Peaceful and at ease.
And then we do, may all beings be happy and well.
May all beings be happy and well.
May all beings be free from suffering.
May all beings be free from suffering.
May they be peaceful and at ease.
May they be peaceful and at ease.
And then you would return to the self and just repeat that.
I love it.
But that's, I think, really helpful. And we'll go back to ourselves. May I be happy and well.
May I be happy and well.
Free from suffering.
Free from suffering.
Peaceful and at ease.
Peaceful and at ease.
Boom. And then, again, we repeat that and radiate around that loving kindness through the whole world, ultimately, is the...
I love it.
If we had that much time on our hands. What else do we have to do, though?
Wow, right? That's really beautiful. Thank you. That's awesome
so
what you're doing. It's so important to bring some more compassion and acceptance around what different people have. They have the choice to believe, and they're raised believing, and it's okay. It's okay to be different and have a different view.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, is that ultimately science is getting very strange when we get to the level of quantum physics and quantum theory. You're back into metaphysics. It's just, they're all theories, models, and they may, at some point, they start to seem like they're not really providing a whole lot better explanation for reality than some of these, magical. It's almost like we just need to upgrade. Like all the religions can upgrade to just allow for a bigger divinity, or Buddha, or God, or whatever it is.
Huh.
It's just,
I like that. I always found, so I was raised Jewish, but I had a Christian father and a Jewish mother. So I had 8 days of Hanukkah, 8 days of presents, and then a big pile of presents for Christmas. It was fantastic. But I was always raised very open-minded to all different options, and so I never thought to pick one. I thought you can learn from all of them. And my best friend would take me to church, and I'd learn the lesson of the day, and I loved it. There are parts that I didn't believe in, like but I didn't have to. I got the value out of it and moved on, and it was in total acceptance of the variety, and it served me really well, I think, being in that place of acceptance. So again, I'm really grateful that you're on the show, and thank you so much for all that you're doing. You're providing a lot of value for this planet.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for spreading the love. As always, you guys check out Aspen Talks Health for more information. I will put up your website and how you can contact Andrew. And I hope this helps bringing a lot more peace and love into your life and acceptance of all that is.